Hey guys, this is Christina with Alpha Prep. In this video, we're going to talk about colons and semicolons and a couple of quick and easy rules for recognizing if a semicolon or a colon are correct and when you should use them. Before we get started, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Okay, so we'll start out with the colon. Basically, a colon is used to introduce a list. So the actual format for using a colon, the grammatical rule is that everything before that colon has to be a complete sentence, and everything that comes after the colon has to be part of a list. So it could be something like complete sentence and then just like list A, B, and C. Or it could be like a complete sentence, a colon, and then just a one-item list. A. You can totally have a list with one item. And when I say lists, I don't just mean like a list of nouns. It could be a list of clauses, a list of descriptions. An example of a sentence with a colon followed by a one-item list is, he had a goal, become the CEO. He had a goal, that's a complete sentence. Become the CEO, that's like one item. It's just one idea. An example of a sentence with a colon that has a multiple item list is, John adopted dogs, a golden retriever, a poodle, and a pit bull. So John adopted dogs, that's a complete sentence all on its own. Colon, and then everything after that colon are just list items, a golden retriever, a pit bull, and a poodle. So let's talk about semicolons. Semicolons are used to separate two independent clauses. So you're going to have an independent clause, and then a semicolon, and then another independent clause. And that's it. So what do I really mean by independent clause? Well, an independent clause is part of a sentence that could be a complete sentence all on its own. So this actually makes our lives a lot easier because basically all that we need is a complete sentence on both sides of the semicolon. And from that, we can use kind of a neat little shortcut, and that is if you can't replace the semicolon with a period, you just can't use the semicolon. But if you can replace the semicolon with a period, then the semicolon is going to be correct. An example of a sentence with a semicolon is, Harry ran fast, Jane won the race. So what we really want to pay attention to here is that you could take that semicolon and replace it with a period. Harry ran fast is a complete sentence. Jane won the race is also a complete sentence. So let's try a real SAT problem with colons and semicolons. If you guys want to try this question on your own, now is a great time to pause the video. So the first thing I want to point out here is that all of the answer choices have either colons or semicolons. So we're going to be really concerned with whether or not we have complete sentences before and after the punctuation. So the part I just underlined before the punctuation, that is a complete sentence. The words that come after the punctuation do not make a complete sentence. The dark snow problem, there's no verb there. So A is automatically out. We can't use a semicolon here. Taking a look at B, notice that the stuff that comes after the semicolon is, and it was the dark snow problem. And yeah, that technically is a complete sentence. But B is still going to be incorrect because it makes this sentence incredibly wordy. But Jason Box, an associate professor of geology at Ohio State, believes that another factor added to the early thaw, and it was the dark snow problem. Like, that sounds ridiculous. So let's take a look at C and D. Both of these choices have a colon, so they're both kind of going to be a complete sentence followed by a one-item list. The difference is that choice D has the word being, being the dark snow problem. And really, that word is totally unnecessary here, and it kind of muddles the meaning of the sentence. Another factor added to the early thaw, being the dark snow problem, doesn't make any sense. So our answer is going to be C, where we have a complete sentence followed by just a one-item list or just one idea tacked on at the end. So that's all for this problem. Let's try another one that has semicolons and colons. So again, notice because we're dealing with semicolons and colons, the first thing we want to think about is whether we have complete sentences before and after the punctuation. So in 2013, Tallinn, Estonia instituted fare free rides for city residents, becoming the largest city in the world to do so, but car use in Tallinn has only slightly declined. That is a complete sentence. Now we need to figure out if there's a complete sentence after the punctuation, and it turns out that this is not a complete sentence, as a 2014 study by the KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden found that car traffic in Tallinn was down less than 3% since it was enacted. The as at the beginning of the sentence goes nowhere, so this is not a complete idea, and therefore it is not a complete sentence. So what that means is that we can eliminate the answer choices with semicolons and with periods. So A and D are both out. So notice that our two remaining choices don't have the word as. So that actually completely changes the character of the second half of the sentence. When we get rid of that as, the part that's underlined in orange actually becomes an independent clause, which means that it could be a complete sentence on its own. The word study is the subject of the sentence, and the word found is our verb or our predicate. So this is an independent clause, and basically now we have an independent clause on both sides of the punctuation. And that tells us that answer C is incorrect. That's a comma splice. You can't have a comma between two independent clauses. So B is going to be our answer. We're just going to have a complete sentence followed by a colon, and then a one-item list. In this case, the one-item list is an independent clause, but that's totally allowed, and that's it for this question. Thank you for watching. If you guys found this video useful, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.